Hey, welcome back to part two of this. I'm going to say if you are clicking on this and you're new to the series, I would watch part one first and then come over to part two because it's going to make more sense when everything strings all together. But other than that, let me give one more time because, maybe the first second someone's not paying attention. So I'm going to just say it one more time. Go back in part one. And as the future parts begin to come out, make sure you watch them in order because it will string them all together and you'll get full context. Other than that, much love. Thank you for checking out the videos. And let's get into part two. So yeah, picking up where I left off in the last part, I'm realizing so much is that enlightenment is just you. It's you. Like all the books, all the religions, all the pantheons of gods, it's really speaking of yourself. And I realized early on, because back before I even went to Florida and had the whole thing happen in Florida and the whole Austin, Texas move, the pepper spray and everything, I literally met a girl who she kind of wanted to be like, well, I don't, because I don't even want to put that on her, but she, we were talking to each other, and I remember telling her like, yo, like, because even my speech was different. I was like, yo, like, I just want you to know, like, if you're holding any trauma, like, I'm not gonna be able to be with you. Like, if you're holding on to energy and trauma, because I'm gonna feel that. And the literal, when we were talking that, she said no, and I honor that because I know no one wants to come up and face their shadow self or really confront it like straightforward and just be right up with it. But I remember when I said that to her, what was it? Yeah, I remember when I said that to her, she said no. And the following night, and it was literally like I called her back at the same time. I think it was still like 3 or 4 a.m. But I think because I think we had this conversation at like 10 or 11 or not 10. It was either 10 or not. I feel like I went to sleep early. Was it? No, but it was in the morning. Yeah, okay. So it was either like maybe 5 a.m. But I remember falling asleep, right? My bro's playing the game. And I end up waking up in this dream, right? And this is when I realized, holy shit, I've always been connected to my source, which is me. I've been connected the whole time because reality felt dreamlike when all of this was going on. I couldn't even really tell the waking world from the dream world, to be honest with you. The veil was lifted for me. But um essentially what ended up happening is in the dream, I woke up in this house and I spawned into this house like in a weird way. It's like I rose up from the ground, but it was a house I didn't recognize. It was like, I was like, yo, what is, and actually now thinking about it, it, it was familiar to where, to a past place that my, um, someone in my family used to live. But I I'm looking around and it's like it's hazy. It's like a fogged area, like very fogged, and it's like the living room or something I could tell connected to a kitchen or whatever. And I'm like, yo, I don't recognize this house. Now what I've come to realize now to this day is the house was a metaphor for I'm inside someone else's mind or psyche. You can attach this to persona. Actually, this is actually a really good. You can attach this to persona when they would go into people's castles, and they would have to like fight the person's ego to make them have a realization or wake up. And persona is actually a good example because all of these messages were coming to me in all of these games and everything. And they still do to this day, but it's calmed down now that I've realized what a lot of it was. But at first, man, awakening was hitting me. So what I now come to know, I was in somebody's house or their fortress. So I was in somebody's mind and what they were keeping locked. You can see it like that. So this girl, I was inside her mind. I'm in the astral plane. This is gonna sound esoteric for people who aren't really, hip to this. But I think around the time I'm 20, maybe 20 years old, 19, 20. But anyways, I end up going up this staircase in this dream. And when I go up to the stairs, I see this girl. And the moment I see her, it becomes like a cutscene. Because the way I explained it to her when I told her when I woke up was it was almost like I became her. Like I became that. But the camera, the best way I can explain it is the camera angle began to shift around her. Now, At this moment, the whole top floor began to rise with blood, like blood, but only up to her knees if she was sitting on her knees. It began to rise with blood, and the blood began to pour over the balcony and onto the floors. And I'm assuming that where I was standing is still at the top of the staircase, because now my camera view, as I would explain it, like a video game, was no longer centered on my person or the soul or the spirit I was. And this person was holding her stomach. She was clutching onto her stomach, crying and breaking down, and just like it felt like this overwhelming sadness. And in the dream, I felt hot, I felt warm, I felt like all the emotions of her. I could feel her like she was me, and we are all the same in essence, remember? So then right there, after like I noticed her, like she noticed me, and boom, I woke up. And it happened to be maybe 4 a.m. where I end up getting up, and I think my bro's asleep at this point. He's laying next to me, and I told him, no. I told him, he was playing the game, and I think I told him, yo, bro, I had this wild dream. I think I got to go like outside real quick and breathe. Like I got to chill. So I get up and I go downstairs, and I go out the door. And as I'm sitting on the porch, I'm looking up at the stars, just like, whoa, what the fuck was that? Like, what the hell? And I get the intuition, I'm gonna call her. So I call her, and it was an immediate knowing. And she knows who she is. I don't know if she watches the channel. I don't even remember if she knows who that like I had a channel. I can't remember, but she would know who she was if she was listening to this. And Tara, I say, I hope you're doing well. And I told you, and you're actually a good example for me to, if anyone ever needed an account of my stories, but I don't need to prove anything to anyone, because like when you're literally around me in this energy, weird shit happens. Weird things happen. I even have people like when I referenced the whole Florida thing, I even had synchronicities happen where I was eating with a friend or a bro, and we'd be talking about something. I would tell him about the universe, because I could not just stop talking about this stuff, because it became my reality. Like I experienced it. We'd be talking, and then all of a sudden I said like, yeah, man, like crazy stuff happens when people are around me. 2 seconds later, we'd get up from just eating at this restaurant round the corner, and all of a sudden the friend that I'm with's parents and brother would be there. And he'd be like, well, that's wild. And I'd be like, bro, all of that happens because like everything is connected. But you know, even trying to tell people this, they can't understand it fully until they just go through it. So that's why I say okay, for some reason it just dropped out. Maybe that was a sign to just get back on topic so I don't go too off track. But essentially what I'm saying is, so I end up calling the girl after the dream, and I'm like, yo, remember when I told you, like, are you harboring anything you're keeping from you? I just had a dream, and I don't know if it's you. And I said, but I had a dream in a house that I didn't recognize, where the girl was on her knees, sitting in a puddle of blood. What does this mean to you? Like, what does it mean? She goes, oh my gosh. And she pauses for a second, and I'm like, what happened? And she's like, it was me. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like what? Like, cause I'm not even playing stupid. I'm literally like, what did I just witness? Because to some people that would seem like I had a nightmare or had a random ass dream, just like it turned nightmarish. She goes, are you sure you don't know me? And I said, well, in a spiritual sense, I know you. Like, we all know each other. Like, what do you mean? Like, but I'm really embodying this knowledge. I'm not just chatting shit to, oh, look what I know. I'm talking about real embodiment. I'm like, well, I know you in a spiritual sense. Like, there's not an accident that we're meeting. But I forgot to realize, which I do well enough know now, that not everybody is aware of this knowledge. Not everybody has awakened. Some people are just still under the sleep. But some people wake up sometimes a little bit and then they go right back to sleep. But when you truly embody it, there is no going back. So she at first is like, do you know me? Do you know anybody that knows me? And I'm like, girl, listen, I don't know you. Like, we met, like, look at how we met. Like, you literally live like 2 to 2.5 hours away. Like, I've never known you. Have you even been where? I don't even think I think she drove once to the place where I lived. And I was like, or not the place where I live, but like I guess like the town or the city. And she goes, man. And she's just stunned. But what is so beautiful is she didn't even hold it back, because I would have been trying to still figure it out for myself. And I wouldn't even have this story to tell you if she didn't be honest with me that day. And even I think around the time then that so she goes, it was me. I had a miscarriage. And I was like, what? Now you have to understand, my mind is blown because everything I'm experiencing goes against what science and everything was proving at the time. Like, this is full on metaphysical things I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing the very things I was reading in these books, like the holographic universe, everything. We are divine beings. And that's why I say I ride or die, and can say that because I've experienced it. I've experienced the pain of people coming at my character and everybody that they think and who I am. But it's like, that can't offend me. I'm not this. We are in a temporary body that fades. I'm not this. And I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there because I really think people don't separate what it is to just talk about this shit rather than embody it. Like, oh yeah, we want to talk about Buddha, and we want to talk about Jesus, and we want to talk about the Krishnas, and we want to talk about Sanskrit in the old language. But I'm like, no, there's an embodiment to it where you take all this shit off, because I witnessed it. Like, I witnessed it, and I'm like the living embodiment of what it is, because I literally feel like I can't stop talking about this stuff during the day, because that's all that is energy. That's all that there is. So that's why I truly think that not everybody is meant to awaken yet or talk about it, or not. Yeah, I just think some people who want to know and get to that spot of enlightenment, they get too driven and want to like go for it so hard that they miss that it's a personal journey. Like, you're not supposed to follow Buddha or Jesus or all these people to what they do. You're supposed to take the teachings and the way of life that they lived and then apply it to your own life and make it your own. You make it your own, like you shift it into your own. You become your own being, where then you rise up to equal points of a Jesus or a Buddha or it's you. Be still and know that I am God. That's why Neville Goddard said that. Be still and know that I am God, because it's you. But man, you can't convince anyone of that. But yeah, she told me that, and it blew my fucking mind. I almost like dropped my phone, bro. I almost lost my mind, because I'm like, yo, how am I getting visions of this? How am I getting this? How am I, man? And I recall so many nights living with my bro where we would just stare up at the moon. We would just look at the moon, where we just breathe the outside air. We would just go for walks, and it was constantly every moment of drilling all of this stuff into our mind until it finally went blank. There's no thoughts, no inner dialogue, fighting with inner dialogue. And that's when I realized, when I went back to my parents, and then eventually everything started creating itself, and I made Lunar Was Lost, my mind, I was just acting completely off of creativity, like purely channeling what divinity was. I didn't hold myself to any beliefs and all that, but I also at the beginning really wanted to talk about this stuff. Like, even go to the earliest videos on my channel, I wanted to talk about this stuff. But at the same time, I said, you know what, why not just enjoy the experience, because people will just come into it when they're ready. And that's what I still even realize now. People will come into it when they're ready. There's really nothing I need to do. But I can talk about this stuff if I want to, because I've experienced it. I don't even need to reference. I had even when I began this channel, it showed me that I still had stuff to learn, in a sense, because I still would reference spiritual teachers and stuff, but I would reference them in a way where it was like, well, look at them. I didn't give myself the credit of, wow, the journey I was walking, I'm the teacher. Like, it was ironic. But yeah, man, what a journey. So that's only part one. I still gotta have crazy stories. Like, or no, that's not part one of the story with her, but that's essentially around the time where all these psychic things started awakening in me. And man, and I was just like saying, like, yo, like, it was a shedding of who I was, man. I would say, like, yo, I'm not this. I don't want to feel this pain. Like, I don't know, but all of that pressure and that pain made diamonds. It's like that Revolver scene, man. That's why I say you gotta see Revolver. Is like, and maybe I'll put the clip in this video, but yo, like the very self that you are is hiding behind the pain. It's hiding behind you. It convinced itself it's you. And maybe I show the elevator scene. Yeah, I'll show the elevator scene where he began to conquer his ego. Yeah, I think I'll show that scene. And that's what ding ding ding, like in the video, it made him be fearless, and because it just became who he was. Like ding ding ding, the lights are on. I'm gonna show that, and that's how I'm gonna end this video. So much love in Moonlight. If you don't want to see the clip, just click off of it, but it's all good. He conquered his ego. There was nothing outside of himself to fear, and that's how I feel now. Nothing anybody says about me or anything. There is no one saying anything about me. I was my biggest enemy. It was me. It was me fighting me. It was me. It's just, yeah, I can't say any. It is like, yeah, it's you, man. It's you. You're your biggest enemy. But when someone actually realizes that and embodies it, it's very different from being like, oh yeah, I get it. Like someone going, oh, we're our biggest enemy. What's next? What do you mean, what's next? No, then if you're saying that, then you have not achieved or gotten close to what enlightenment is. And that's all I got to say. Now enjoy the clip.